Howdy, students. This is a quick primer on the Python enumerate function. And what enumerate will do for us is simply create an index. So if we have, a simple list here, I'm going to say A equals, let's say, Joe, Jane, and Jack. Well, we can output that and it'll print out, Joe, Jane, Jack, those strings pretty easily. But wouldn't it be cool if we could also output and easily an index number? So like if we wanted our output to be literally this, 1 period, and then the string Joe, and then 2 Jane, and then 3 Jack. Now we could go about doing that with some hard coding and just create an index and output both the index number that we generate along with the string list element, Joe, Jack, or Jane. But we can do this in a sleeker, easier way, using kind of one line of code if we use the enumerate function. And what enumerate is going to do for us is if we call it and then give it right here, give it a list like A, this will actually create a list of tuples and what those tuples would look like. And I'm going to put this in list format temporarily. It's not quite a list yet because we still have to do that assignment. But what it'll do is sort of create these tuples where index number 1, so to speak, is going to be Joe. And then another tuple in the list, 2 Jane. And then the last one, 3 Jack. So that's kind of cool. And once we get those tuples, well, then it's just an easy matter of extracting those and outputting it. We can just pop it in a for loop real quick and just kind of go through and pull the index number, pull the list string representing a name, and it just generates all of that. Now, for us to kind of make that happen, what we'll do here is let me pull up some code. I'll show you. Let me do that. I'll do the code real quick. But what we could do is we could create a list then that's encapsulating the enumerate function. And we can do that, with the list function that Python gives us. We can use the list method, and whatever we put in there, it will create a list from it. So if we wanted to make a list of these tuples that we know that the enumerate function is going to give us, well, let's just embed that. So we could do list, and then in parentheses will be our enumerate. And then that takes a couple of arguments. One is the original list that we plan to enumerate. And then the second argument is an optional argument, just deciding, okay, what are we going to start counting with? If there's no argument here, then it will assume 0. But remember, our human minds, we always start counting ever since kindergarten. We say, okay, count to 10 kids, and we all start with 1, 2. So our human minds never start counting at 0. They start counting at 1. So we could put an optional argument here of 1, and that will then create these tuples. And then the list method here will actually then create that list from it. And then, of course, we could either assign that to a variable like B, or we could just simply print out that whole thing of list, enumerate, etc., and get that output. So this is kind of a cool little feature. So let me share now just some code that's going to help us demo this. Let me shift to my PyCharm. And here's some code. This is going to start with our base list. That's just a list of courses that hopefully you all have taken, since these are the prerequisites, 110, 140, and 165. Now, this next line here is a embedded statement where we're simply going to print out a list. I'm not going to assign it to another list. We could do that. It's trivial. But we're just going to print it out. What are we printing out? Well, we're printing out whatever we get with this. Okay, so what do we get with that now? Well, list is going to then generate a list of whatever is inside those arguments. So here's list. There's the argument, and there's only one argument, which is just another function called to enumerate. And of course, we know what enumerate is going to do. That's going to take the original list A and create tuples where the first member of the tuple is that index number starting with 1. And the second element of the tuple is the course number that we're kind of iterating through in list A. So let me run this real quick. Take note, this is main 1. And down here, we see that in this output, that it is in fact generating this list. That is a list in square brackets. And there's 3 elements in the list. Each element is a tuple in parentheses. And each tuple has got 2 elements, the index number and then the original course number. So this is kind of a cool thing. And we just did that in one statement using kind of an embedded enumerate within an embedded list, and we're going to print all of that out. Now, if we wanted, let's suppose we want to print out this neat, orderly list of our classes. Here's what we're going to try and go for with the output is just a 1 period and then the first course, a 2 period and the second, etc. And we can just do that with a simple for loop. Here is an easy for loop. Since we know that enumerate is going to generate a tuple, well, then this for loop is going to need to extract the index number and the course name as these tuple elements go through the for loop. So every time through this loop here, we are going to have a new I and a new course, and we just simply output those. And then here in our print statement, we're just printing out I and a period, a space, and then the course. And sure enough, this gives us this cool little listing of these courses in a format that's going to be very pleasing to the human eye, because we like to see ordered lists, we like to see bullets, we like to see numbered lists, and this is going to give us a numbered list. And it's cool because it does all of this in exactly 4 lines of code. 1, 2, 3, 4. Quite easy. And of course, the sample code is posted on Canvas, and I try and comment all of the sample code to kind of narrate what's going on. So I hope this helps to explain what enumerate is.